Welcome, and thank you for being here. This is Mindleapic, a quiet place where we slowly explore gentle moments from the past. Moments filled with soft sounds, simple routines, and the calm rhythm of everyday life. Before we begin tonight's story, you might like to take a small moment to help the channel grow. If you enjoy relaxing history like this, feel free to gently tap the like button and subscribe to Mindleapic so more peaceful stories can find their way to you. And if you feel like sharing, you can also leave a comment telling us which city or country you are listening from tonight. It is always lovely to imagine listeners from quiet bedrooms and cozy corners all around the world. Now, allow yourself to settle in. Perhaps the lights in the room are dim. Maybe the blankets are warm and soft. Your breathing can slow down a little. Your shoulders can relax. There is nothing to rush toward tonight. This story will move slowly, gently, and quietly, just like the peaceful morning we are about to visit. So take one calm breath in and slowly breathe out. And now, let us drift back in time, far back, more than 2,000 years ago, to a quiet hillside in ancient Greece, a place where rows of olive trees stretch across the land like soft green waves, and where a new morning is only just beginning. The sky above the hillside is still pale. The sun has not fully risen yet, but a gentle light is spreading across the land. The air carries the coolness of night, and a faint mist rests low among the olive trees. Olive groves like this one have covered these hills for generations. The trees here are old, very old. Some have twisted trunks that spiral slowly toward the sky. Their bark is rough and silver gray, shaped by many years of wind and sun. Their leaves are small and narrow, green on one side and softly silver on the other. When the morning breeze moves through them, the whole grove seems to shimmer quietly. It is very peaceful here. Only a few sounds can be heard. A distant rooster calling from a nearby village, the soft rustling of leaves, and somewhere far away, the faint ringing of goat bells as a shepherd begins his early walk. The earth beneath the trees is dry and warm-colored. Small stones are scattered across the ground, and thin paths wind gently between the rows of olive trees. These paths have been walked for many years. Farmers, children, and travelers have followed them slowly across the hills. And today, just like many mornings before, the olive harvest is about to begin. At the edge of the grove stands a small stone house. Its walls are simple and pale, made from local stone gathered from the hills. The roof is covered with clay tiles, some darker from age. A small wooden door opens quietly. A man steps outside. His name is Damon. Damon is an olive farmer, just as his father was, and his father before him. He pauses for a moment outside the doorway. The air is cool against his face. He breathes in slowly, filling his lungs with the fresh scent of the morning. Olive leaves, dry soil, and the faint smell of wood smoke from the village below. Damon stretches his arms gently. It will be a long day of work, but it is familiar work, and familiar work often feels calm and steady. Inside the house, a small clay lamp still glows softly. Damon reaches back inside and blows out the flame. The lamp smoke curls upward for a moment and disappears. Then he steps fully outside into the quiet morning. Nearby, the first sunlight begins touching the tops of the olive trees. The hills slowly brighten. Long shadows stretch across the ground between the trees, and the grove begins to wake. Damon walks across the small courtyard beside his home. In one corner stands a wooden table where baskets are stacked neatly. These baskets will soon be filled with olives, dark and round, freshly picked from the trees. He lifts one basket. It is woven from dried reeds and feels light in his hands. More baskets wait beside it. Today, his family and a few neighbors will gather here to help with the harvest. Olive harvesting is careful work. The olives must be picked gently so the branches are not damaged. Some will be pressed for oil. Others will be stored in clay jars with salt and herbs. Olives are an important part of life here. They bring food. They bring oil for cooking. They bring oil for lamps. And sometimes they even bring trade with nearby towns. For many families in ancient Greece, the olive tree is almost like a quiet companion that lives alongside them year after year, slow-growing, patient, reliable. Damon sets the basket down beside the path that leads into the grove. He looks across the hillside. The trees stretch far across the land, row after row, soft silver leaves glowing gently in the early light. It is a peaceful sight, one that he has seen every morning of his life. And yet, somehow, it never becomes ordinary. A soft breeze moves through the grove. Leaves whisper quietly to one another, and the day slowly begins. In the village below, a few more doors open. Thin lines of smoke rise from chimneys as cooking fires are lit. Somewhere a dog barks once, then settles again. The world is waking gently, just as it always does. Damon picks up another basket and begins walking into the olive grove. His sandals press softly into the dusty earth. The path curves slowly between the trees. Above him, olive branches stretch outward, creating a soft canopy of leaves. Small olives hang from the branches, some green, some deep purple, some almost black. They are ready for harvest, but there is no hurry. Olive harvesting is not rushed. It moves slowly, just like the trees themselves have grown slowly over many years. Damon reaches the first tree he plans to harvest today. It is one of the oldest in the grove. Its trunk is thick and twisted, like a sculpture shaped by time. He places the basket carefully beneath the branches. Then he gently touches the bark of the tree. For a moment, he simply stands there, listening to the quiet morning, feeling the calm presence of the grove around him. This is the beginning of another peaceful harvest day. And all across the hills of ancient Greece, thousands of farmers are beginning their mornings in almost exactly the same way, under quiet olive trees, in soft golden sunlight, moving slowly, working gently, living their lives in rhythm with the land. And here, beneath this old tree, the first olives of the day are about to be picked. But the morning is still young, the sun is still rising, and the grove is still wrapped in the peaceful quiet of dawn. So Damon reaches upward, slowly, his fingers brushing softly against the leaves. Ready to begin, the first olive is picked very gently. Damon holds the small fruit between his fingers and twists it softly until it loosens from the branch. It falls into his palm with almost no sound. He studies it for a moment. The olive is dark and smooth, warmed slightly by the first light of morning. Its surface shines faintly as he turns it between his fingers. Then he places it into the basket below. A small hollow sound echoes as it lands. One olive, then another, and another. The rhythm of harvesting begins slowly. Damon works quietly, reaching up toward the branches, feeling the leaves brush softly across his hands. Each olive is removed with care, so the tree remains healthy for many seasons to come. The leaves rustle lightly whenever the breeze passes through. Above him, the sky continues to brighten. Soft gold spreads slowly across the horizon. The air is still cool, but the warmth of the sun is beginning to touch the tops of the trees, and the grove, which only moments ago felt silent and still, now begins to show signs of life. Somewhere nearby, a bird lands lightly on a branch. Its small claws tap against the bark as it settles. The bird tilts its head, watching Damon for a moment, then begins to sing in a gentle, wandering melody. The sound floats through the grove like a thin ribbon of music. Damon smiles slightly as he continues working. He has heard these morning songs his entire life. Some birds always return to the same trees every year, just like the farmers return to the same groves, season after season, year after year. The work of olives follows a familiar cycle. In spring, the trees blossom with tiny pale flowers. In summer, the olives slowly begin to grow. In autumn, when the air cools and the leaves shimmer under softer sunlight, the harvest begins. And here it is now, another harvest day, another peaceful morning beneath these quiet trees. As Damon fills the first basket, the distant sound of footsteps begins to approach along the narrow path. They are slow footsteps, unhurried. Soon, a familiar voice calls softly from between the trees. "Good morning, Damon." Damon looks up from the branches. Walking along the path is his younger brother, Nikos. Nikos carries 2 empty baskets, balanced across a wooden pole that rests on his shoulders. The baskets sway gently as he walks, brushing softly against the sides of his legs. He reaches Damon's tree and lowers the pole carefully to the ground. "Morning came quietly today," Nikos says, glancing toward the brightening sky. Damon nods. "It always does here." Nikos stretches his arms after the short walk. The grove is peaceful this early, and both brothers pause for a moment just to listen. The wind moves through the olive leaves again. A distant goat bell rings somewhere beyond the hills, and the sun climbs a little higher above the horizon. Nikos picks up one of the baskets and places it beneath a nearby branch. He begins harvesting as well. Now there are 2 sets of hands moving slowly among the leaves, 2 baskets gradually filling, and the quiet rhythm of the morning continues. Olive harvesting is patient work. Some farmers gently comb the branches with small wooden tools, allowing the olives to fall onto cloth sheets below. Others prefer to pick them by hand. In this grove, Damon's family has always harvested by hand. It is slower, but it is gentler for the trees, and when the trees remain healthy, they can produce olives for hundreds of years. Some of the oldest olive trees in Greece are said to be more than 1,000 years old. Their trunks grow wide and hollow with age, yet they still produce fruit every season. They become living witnesses to many generations. Damon's father once told him that the tree he is harvesting now was already old when his grandfather was young, and yet the tree still grows, still produces olives, still spreads its silver leaves toward the sky. The thought makes the morning feel even quieter, almost timeless. The brothers continue working side by side. The baskets slowly grow heavier. The olives make a soft, shifting sound each time another handful is added. Nikos pauses for a moment and wipes his hands on his tunic. "Mother and Eleni will arrive soon," he says. Damon nods. Eleni is Damon's daughter. She is still young, but during harvest season, she likes to help gather olives that fall near the base of the trees. Children often help during harvest time. They move quickly between the baskets, collecting the olives that roll away across the ground, and sometimes they climb low branches, laughing quietly as they reach for the fruit. Harvest days often become small gatherings. Family members, neighbors, friends from nearby groves, everyone moving slowly beneath the olive trees, talking softly, sharing simple food during midday rest. But for now, the grove still belongs mostly to the quiet morning. A thin ray of sunlight slips between the branches above Damon. It lands across the basket beside him. The olives inside glow deep purple and black under the light. Their surfaces shine like polished stones. The basket is now nearly half full. Damon lifts it slightly to feel its weight. He nods with quiet satisfaction. It is a good start to the day. The grove will provide well this season, and with good olives comes good oil. Olive oil is one of the most important treasures in this land. It lights lamps at night. It flavors bread and vegetables. It is used for cooking, cleaning, and even healing small wounds. Clay jars filled with olive oil travel across the Mediterranean Sea on merchant ships, from Greece to Egypt, from Greece to Rome, from Greece to distant islands, all carried in tall clay vessels called amphorae. But for now, these olives are still fresh on the hillside, still resting in quiet baskets beneath ancient trees, still surrounded by the calm breath of the morning wind. As the sun continues to rise, the shadows beneath the trees slowly shorten. The mist that rested along the lower hills begins to fade. Warm sunlight spreads across the grove, and more footsteps approach along the path. Soft voices follow. Damon glances toward the sound. Between the rows of trees appear two familiar figures walking slowly toward them. One carries a cloth bundle. The other hums quietly as she walks. The harvest day is growing. More hands will soon join the quiet work beneath the olive branches, and the peaceful rhythm of the grove will continue, olive by olive, basket by basket, morning slowly turning toward midday. But for now, Damon reaches up once more toward the leaves above him. Another olive rests between his fingers. Another small twist. Another soft drop into the basket. The simple work continues, slow, steady, peaceful, just as it has been for countless harvest mornings across these ancient hills. And the grove, filled with silver leaves and gentle sunlight, seems content to watch it all unfold. The morning sun continues its slow climb over the hills. Its light spreads gently across the olive grove, touching the tops of the trees first, and then slowly moving downward through the silver leaves. The mist that rested quietly along the lower slopes has almost disappeared now. Only thin wisps remain, drifting lazily above the distant fields. Damon and Nikos continue their work beneath the old olive tree. Their baskets are growing heavier with every handful of olives. The work moves slowly. There is no need to rush. Olive harvesting is never hurried. Each branch must be handled with care, each olive picked gently. The tree must remain healthy for many years to come. Damon reaches up again and parts the leaves with his fingers. The leaves feel cool and smooth against his skin. A small cluster of olives hangs there. Some are still green. Others have turned a deep purple color. He selects the darker ones first. They twist easily from the stem. One by one, they drop softly into the basket below. The quiet rhythm continues. Reach, twist, drop. Reach, twist, drop. The sound of olives landing inside the woven basket creates a soft, hollow tapping. It is a small sound, but repeated again and again, it becomes part of the morning, almost like a gentle drum beat guiding the pace of the work. Nikos moves to the opposite side of the tree. Sunlight now shines across his shoulders as he works. He pauses for a moment and looks out across the hillside. From here, the grove stretches far into the distance. Row after row of olive trees follow the gentle curve of the land. Their leaves shimmer softly whenever the wind passes through. It looks almost like a quiet silver sea. Beyond the grove lies the village. Small houses made from pale stone cluster together near a narrow dirt road. Thin lines of smoke rise from cooking fires. The smell of bread baking sometimes drifts up the hillside during the late morning hours. But for now, the scent carried on the wind is mostly earth and olive leaves, dry soil, warm bark, fresh fruit. A scent that belongs only to places like this, places where olive trees have grown for centuries. Nikos breathes in deeply. Then he returns to the branches. The footsteps Damon heard earlier grow closer. Soon, two figures appear clearly between the rows of trees. The first is Damon's wife, Thalia. She walks carefully along the path, carrying a cloth bundle balanced on one hip. Beside her is Eleni, Damon's young daughter. Eleni walks with quick, curious steps. Her eyes move constantly from tree to tree, as if each one holds a small secret, waiting to be discovered. She loves the olive grove. To her, it feels almost like a quiet forest, full of winding paths and old, twisting trunks. When she sees Damon, she lifts her hand and waves. "Father," she calls softly. Damon smiles as they approach. Thalia reaches the tree and sets the cloth bundle on a flat stone nearby. Inside the bundle are small pieces of bread, dried figs, and a clay flask filled with water. They will save it for later when the sun rises higher and the workers pause to rest. Harvest mornings often stretch many hours, but the work feels lighter when shared. Thalia picks up an empty basket and places it beneath a lower branch. She begins picking olives with calm, practiced hands. Eleni kneels beside the tree. Some olives have already fallen onto the ground during harvesting. They roll between the small stones and settle among the dry grass. Eleni gathers them carefully. One by one, she drops them into a small basket beside her. Sometimes she pauses to study an olive closely before placing it inside. Each one looks slightly different. Some are round, some are long, some have tiny dimples or small color changes on their skin. To Eleni, each olive feels like a tiny treasure. She hums quietly while she works. A soft tune she often sings while helping her family. The melody drifts gently through the grove, mixing with the sound of rustling leaves and the steady tapping of olives falling into baskets. The sun rises a little higher. Its warmth begins to spread across the grove. The cool air of early morning slowly fades. Now the earth releases a faint warmth as sunlight touches the ground. Damon removes a cloth from his belt and wipes his hands. Olive skins can leave a light stain on the fingers, a dark purple color that takes many washings to fade. He looks up into the branches again. The tree still holds many olives. Harvesting one tree can take hours. Some groves hold hundreds of trees. The work of olive harvesting often continues for many days, sometimes weeks, but no one complains about this slow work. The harvest season brings a peaceful rhythm. Families spend long days outdoors. Neighbors visit each other's groves to help gather fruit. At midday, everyone sits together beneath the shade of the trees to eat simple meals. Bread, cheese, olives from previous seasons, fresh water from cool clay jugs. Sometimes stories are shared during these rest times. Old stories. Stories passed down from grandparents and great-grandparents. Stories about the land. Stories about the trees. Because olive trees have been important in Greece for longer than most people can remember. In many villages, an olive tree planted today might still be producing fruit hundreds of years later, long after the person who planted it is gone. That thought always brings a certain quiet respect to the grove. The trees feel almost like ancient neighbors, standing quietly beside the people who care for them, watching generations come and go. Eleni suddenly looks up. A butterfly floats slowly past her. Its wings are pale yellow, almost glowing in the sunlight. It drifts lazily through the branches before settling on a nearby leaf. Eleni watches it closely. The butterfly folds its wings and remains perfectly still. For a moment, even Eleni forgets to gather olives. She simply watches the small creature resting among the leaves. Moments like this happen often during harvest. Small pauses, quiet observations. The grove encourages slow attention. Nothing here moves quickly. The trees grow slowly. The olives ripen slowly. The work itself unfolds slowly. Even the wind seems to move at a calm and patient pace. Eventually, the butterfly lifts again. It drifts farther down the grove. Eleni smiles and returns to her basket. Far down the hillside, another group of farmers can be seen beginning their harvest. Tiny figures move between the distant rows of trees. Their voices carry faintly on the wind. Sometimes a laugh rises above the rustling leaves, but the sounds remain soft. The grove keeps its quiet atmosphere. Damon reaches for another branch. The basket beside him is nearly full now. He lifts it carefully and sets it aside. Soon it will be carried down to the pressing house near the village. There, the olives will be crushed beneath a heavy stone wheel. Their oil will flow slowly into waiting clay jars. But that is work for later in the day. For now, the harvest continues beneath the warm morning sun. Damon places a fresh, empty basket beneath the tree. The olives continue to fall softly inside, one by one, handful by handful, basket by basket. The peaceful rhythm of the grove continues, and the ancient olive trees stand quietly above it all, their leaves shimmering gently in the sunlight. The bird hops lightly along the branch, its head tilting from side to side. For a moment, it studies the basket below. Then it pecks gently at one olive that still hangs from the branch. The olive swings slightly as the bird taps it. Eleni watches with curiosity. The bird pecks again, but the olive remains firmly attached. After a few moments, the bird gives up and flutters away toward another tree. Eleni giggles softly. Even the birds seem interested in the harvest. Nikos carries a full basket down the path toward a flat clearing nearby. Several baskets have already been placed there. They sit in neat rows beneath the shade of a large fig tree. This clearing serves as a small gathering place during harvest. From here, the filled baskets will later be carried down the hillside toward the village. For now, they rest quietly in the shade. Nikos sets the basket beside the others. He stretches his arms and rolls his shoulders. Harvesting olives requires many hours of reaching and lifting. The muscles grow tired slowly throughout the day, but the work is gentle. There are no heavy tools, no loud machines, only hands, baskets, and patience. He glances back toward the grove. Damon and Thalia are still working beneath the same tree. Eleni moves between them, occasionally stopping to examine something interesting on the ground. Nikos smiles to himself. Harvest days always bring this peaceful rhythm. Families working side by side, children exploring the grove, the land offering its fruit quietly and generously. The breeze shifts slightly. Now it carries a faint scent from the village below. Bread, freshly baked bread. The smell drifts gently through the trees, warm and comforting. Thalia notices it first. She pauses and looks toward the distant houses. The baker has begun early today, she says softly. Damon nods. The village baker lights his oven before sunrise. Large stone ovens take many hours to heat properly. By mid-morning, the first loaves are ready, and the scent of bread often travels across the hills. It mixes with the smell of olives and dry soil, a quiet reminder that life in the village continues alongside the work in the grove. The sun continues climbing higher. The shadows beneath the trees grow shorter. The air becomes warmer now, though the breeze still carries a comfortable coolness. Damon moves to another branch. The olives here are clustered more closely together. He works carefully so the smaller branches do not break. A gentle twist. Another olive falls. A gentle twist. Another soft tap inside the basket. Nearby, Thalia hums quietly now, a slow tune, simple and calm. The melody rises and falls like the breeze itself. Eleni listens for a moment before returning to her work. The grove feels peaceful, almost sleepy. The quiet repetition of harvesting continues, hands reaching, olives falling, baskets filling slowly. The work has no hurry. There is still much daylight ahead, and the olive trees stand patiently above them, their leaves whispering softly in the wind. their branches offering fruit one olive at a time. Across the hillside, other farmers continue their own harvests. Tiny figures move between distant rows of trees. Some spread cloth sheets beneath branches to catch falling olives. Others climb short ladders to reach higher fruit. But the sound never grows loud. The entire hillside seems wrapped in a calm and steady rhythm. Olive harvesting is shared work. Every grove has its own families. Every family moves at its own pace. Yet together they create the same gentle scene across the land. Quiet mornings, silver leaves, and baskets slowly filling with fruit. Back beneath Damon's tree, the basket is nearly full again. The olives shine softly in the sunlight, deep purple, dark green, almost black. Damon lifts the basket carefully and sets it aside with the others. Another empty basket takes its place. The work continues. Eleni sits briefly on a smooth stone. She looks up through the branches. The sky above is bright and clear now, a pale blue stretching far across the horizon. A single white cloud drifts slowly overhead. It moves so gently that it almost seems still. Eleni watches it for a moment. Then she stands again and picks up her small basket. More olives wait beneath the trees. More quiet work to do. The harvest day is still young. The sun continues rising. The grove continues breathing softly in the warm morning air. And beneath the ancient olive branches, the slow rhythm of gathering fruit carries on, olive by olive, basket by basket. The calm work of another peaceful day in the hills of ancient Greece. The sun continues its quiet journey across the sky. By now, the light has become warmer and steadier. It rests gently on the olive grove, turning the silver leaves into soft flashes of pale green and white whenever the breeze moves through them. The air is no longer cool like it was at dawn. It carries a mild warmth now. Not too strong, just enough to remind everyone that the morning is slowly turning toward midday. Damon stretches his back for a moment beneath the tree. He places his hands on his hips and looks across the hillside. From here, the land rolls gently toward the valley below. Small paths weave through the groves, connecting one farm to another. Occasionally, a figure appears along those paths. A farmer carrying baskets, a neighbor walking slowly between trees, sometimes a donkey pulling a small wooden cart. But everything moves at an unhurried pace. There is no rush on a harvest day. The olives have grown slowly over many months. They can be gathered slowly too. Nearby, Thalia finishes filling another basket. She lifts it carefully and carries it toward the shaded clearing beneath the fig tree. The basket is heavier now. Olives shift softly inside as she walks. The ground beneath her feet is dry and firm. Tiny stones crunch quietly with each step. When she reaches the fig tree, she sets the basket beside the others. There are many now, dark olives resting quietly in woven baskets, the fruit of the grove slowly collecting in one place. The fig tree provides deep shade. Its wide leaves rustle softly overhead. A few small figs still cling to its branches, though most were harvested earlier in the season. Thalia wipes her hands on a cloth and glances toward the village. The smell of bread still drifts faintly through the air. Soon it will be time for a short rest, but for now the work continues. Back at the olive tree, Eleni has discovered something interesting. Near the base of the trunk, a tiny line of ants moves steadily across the ground. Each ant carries something small, a crumb, a seed, a tiny fragment of leaf. They travel in a quiet line between two small holes in the earth. Eleni crouches low and watches them carefully. The ants never stop. They walk in the same direction again and again, one after another, patient, organized, quietly working together. She places one olive gently near their path. For a moment, the ants pause and move around it. Then they continue their work as if nothing had changed. Eleni smiles softly. Even the smallest creatures in the grove seem busy today. Nikos returns from the clearing carrying 2 empty baskets. He hands one to Damon. The wood handles are smooth from years of use. These trees are generous this year, Nikos says quietly. Damon nods as he places the basket beneath a new branch. Yes, he replies. The spring rains helped. The olive trees depend on the balance of the seasons. Spring rain feeds the blossoms. Summer sun strengthens the fruit. And autumn brings the harvest. Some years are better than others. But the grove almost always provides something. The trees have deep roots. They reach far beneath the soil, searching for water even during dry months. That is why olive trees can live so long. They are patient trees, strong trees, trees that understand time. Damon reaches up again and parts the leaves. The branches here hang slightly lower. Clusters of olives hide between the narrow leaves. Some are shaded. Some glisten in the sunlight. He begins harvesting again. Twist, drop, twist, drop. The olives fall softly into the basket. The sound is gentle and steady, almost soothing. Nearby, Thalia returns from the clearing and joins them again. She works quietly beside Damon. Their movements have become almost synchronized. One reaches, the other gathers, hands moving slowly through the branches. The rhythm of the harvest continues. A light wind passes across the hillside. The olive trees sway slightly. Leaves whisper softly together. The sound spreads through the grove like a calm wave. Eleni looks up toward the sound. The branches above her move slowly back and forth. Tiny flashes of silver flicker through the leaves. She closes her eyes for a moment and listens. The wind feels cool against her face. It carries the scent of dry grass and warm soil. And somewhere far away, the faint sound of a shepherd's flute drifts across the hills. The melody is simple, long notes rising and falling slowly. The shepherd walks with his goats somewhere beyond the ridge. His music travels easily in the open air. The notes float across the olive groves like soft clouds of sound. Eleni listens quietly. Even Damon and Thalia pause for a moment to hear it. The flute music feels peaceful, as if the hills themselves are humming softly. After a while, the melody fades into the distance. The shepherd has moved farther along the ridge. The grove becomes quiet again. Only the wind and the soft tapping of olives remain. Nikos lifts another full basket. He carries it slowly toward the clearing beneath the fig tree. This time Eleni follows him. She likes watching the baskets being placed in rows. When they arrive, she counts them carefully. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are many already, each one filled with fruit gathered from the trees. Nikos sets the basket down beside the others. Eleni finishes counting. 12, she says proudly. Nikos smiles. That is a good morning's work. They stand together in the shade for a moment. The fig leaves above them move gently in the wind. Their shadows shift slowly across the ground. From here they can see the entire grove. Damon and Thalia still harvesting beneath the branches. Other farmers working farther down the hill. Rows of ancient trees stretching toward the horizon. It is a peaceful sight, a quiet landscape filled with slow movement and steady work. After a short rest, Nikos picks up 2 empty baskets again. Eleni carries her small one. They walk back toward the tree. The sun is higher now. The day feels brighter, warmer, but the breeze still keeps the air comfortable. Harvest days often follow this gentle pattern. Work, a short walk, a quiet pause, then work again. Nothing hurried, nothing loud, just the steady rhythm of gathering olives beneath the ancient trees. When they reach Damon and Thalia, the branches above them are lighter now. Many olives have already been picked. Sunlight slips more easily through the leaves. The baskets are filling once again. Damon looks toward the clearing and nods. Soon they will rest for a short midday meal. Bread, figs, water from the clay flask. But for now, there are still olives waiting on the branches. He reaches upward once more. The leaves brush softly against his hand. Another olive twists free. It falls gently into the basket below. And beneath the quiet olive trees of ancient Greece, the slow and peaceful work of harvest continues. The sun continues to climb slowly across the sky. Its light now rests warmly over the olive grove, spreading across the rolling hills in a calm and steady glow. The shadows beneath the trees are shorter than before, and the air carries the comfortable warmth of late morning. Still, the breeze moves softly through the branches. It passes through the narrow olive leaves with a quiet whisper, like a long, gentle sigh moving across the hillside. Damon reaches up again toward another cluster of olives. His fingers move carefully among the leaves. He twists one olive free, then another. The small fruits fall softly into the basket below, joining the many others already gathered there. The rhythm of harvesting continues. Reach, twist, drop. Reach, twist, drop. The sound is quiet and steady, almost like a slow heartbeat echoing through the grove. Nearby, Thalia works along another branch. Her basket is nearly full again. She lifts it slightly to test its weight, then sets it carefully aside. Another empty basket waits beneath the tree. There are always more olives waiting, more branches to gather from, more quiet work for patient hands. Eleni sits cross-legged on the warm earth for a moment. Her small basket is full. She looks at the olives resting inside. Some are deep purple. Others are still green with hints of gold. She picks one up and turns it slowly between her fingers. The sunlight catches its smooth surface. For a moment it shines like a small polished stone. Eleni wonders where this olive will go. Perhaps it will be pressed into oil. Perhaps it will be stored in a clay jar with herbs and salt. Perhaps it will travel on a merchant ship to a distant island far across the sea. It is a strange thought for something so small. Yet olives from groves like this often travel very far. They move from hillside to village, from village to harbor, from harbor to ships that cross the blue waters of the Mediterranean. But for now, this olive rests quietly in her palm, part of the peaceful harvest morning. A cicada begins to sing somewhere high in the branches. Its song is a long, steady hum, a sound that often fills warm afternoons in the countryside. The cicada's rhythm blends softly with the wind and the rustling leaves. Soon another cicada answers from a nearby tree, then another. Their voices rise and fall together like a distant chorus hidden among the branches. Eleni listens quietly. The sound reminds her that midday is approaching. Cicadas often sing when the sun grows warmer. Their song is almost like the voice of summer itself. Nikos walks slowly between the trees, carrying 2 full baskets. The olives shift gently inside as he walks. Each step along the narrow path sends a soft rustle through the fruit. He follows the familiar route toward the fig tree clearing. The ground slopes slightly downward here. Small stones roll beneath his sandals, but Nikos walks carefully. He has carried baskets along this path many times before. When he reaches the clearing, he sets the baskets beside the others. There are many now, rows of woven baskets resting quietly in the shade. The olives inside them glisten softly in the filtered light beneath the fig leaves. Nikos takes a deep breath and stretches his arms. The work has been steady, but it has also been peaceful. He sits for a moment on a flat stone beneath the tree. The shade feels cool. The breeze moves gently through the wide fig leaves overhead. From here, he can see the olive grove stretching up the hillside. Damon and Thalia still working beneath their tree. Eleni moving slowly across the ground with her small basket. Everything feels calm, balanced, unhurried. After a few quiet minutes, Nikos stands again. He knows Damon will soon call for a short rest. Harvest days often include a simple midday meal beneath the trees. Nothing large, nothing complicated. Just bread, fruit, and water shared in the shade. He gathers 2 empty baskets and walks back toward the grove. Back beneath the olive tree, Damon finishes filling another basket. He sets it aside and wipes his hands again with the cloth at his belt. His fingers are lightly stained now with olive color, a dark purple tint that will remain for several days. He glances upward through the branches. The sun now shines almost directly above the grove. Thin lines of light pass between the leaves. The air smells warm, dry soil, olive bark, and the faint sweetness of figs drifting from the clearing nearby. Damon breathes in slowly. Harvest mornings always carry these familiar scents. They are part of the season, part of the land itself. Thalia places her basket down and stretches her shoulders gently. "Perhaps we should rest soon," she says softly. Damon nods. Yes, the sun is high. Eleni looks up immediately when she hears this. A small smile spreads across her face. She enjoys the midday break almost as much as the work itself. Eating beneath the trees always feels special, like a small, quiet celebration shared with the grove. Nikos returns just as Damon begins gathering the baskets. Together, they carry them toward the fig tree clearing. Eleni walks beside them, holding her smaller basket with both hands. The path between the trees feels warm now. Sunlight spreads across the ground in soft, golden patches. When they reach the clearing, Damon sets the baskets down beside the others. There are many rows now. The olives inside them shine like tiny, dark jewels in the shade. Thalia opens the cloth bundle she brought earlier. Inside are several pieces of bread, still soft from the morning baking. There are also dried figs and a small wedge of cheese wrapped in cloth, and the clay flask of cool water. They sit together beneath the fig tree. The shade is deep and comfortable. The breeze moves slowly through the wide leaves above them. For a moment, no one speaks. They simply rest, listening to the wind, the cicadas, the distant hills. Damon breaks a piece of bread and passes it around. Eleni eats quietly, swinging her feet slightly as she sits on the stone. The simple meal tastes good after hours of gentle work. Bread, figs, water, food that fits perfectly with the quiet rhythm of the harvest. As they eat, Damon looks out across the grove again. The olive trees stand peacefully across the hillside, their leaves shimmering softly in the midday light. The baskets beneath the fig tree are slowly filling with the fruit of their work, and the day is only halfway finished. Soon they will return to the branches. More olives will fall softly into waiting baskets. More quiet hours will pass beneath the silver leaves. But for now, they rest in the shade, enjoying the calm warmth of the day and the quiet satisfaction of a good morning's harvest in the ancient olive grove. The shade beneath the fig tree feels cool and gentle after the warm sunlight of the grove. Damon and his family sit quietly for a while, finishing the last pieces of bread from the cloth bundle. The figs are soft and sweet, and the small wedge of cheese has a salty taste that lingers pleasantly. Eleni drinks a little water from the clay flask. The water has stayed cool inside the thick clay walls. Clay flasks are often used this way in the countryside. When a little moisture escapes through the surface of the clay, the wind cools it naturally, so even on warm days, the water inside remains refreshing. Eleni hands the flask back to Thalia and looks around the clearing. The baskets of olives sit quietly nearby, resting in the deep shade beneath the fig leaves. Some of the olives shine softly where small rays of sunlight slip through the branches above. She counts them again quietly, one by one, her voice barely louder than a whisper. Damon leans back slightly against the trunk of the fig tree. The bark feels rough against his shoulders, but the shade makes the moment peaceful. He closes his eyes briefly, not to sleep, just to rest. The sounds of the grove surround them, the soft wind, the steady song of cicadas, the distant bleating of goats somewhere along the hills. It is a calm music that belongs to the countryside. Nikos stretches his legs out in front of him. Harvest work uses many muscles, even though the pace is gentle. Hours of reaching and carrying slowly build a quiet tiredness in the arms and back. But it is the kind of tiredness that feels honest. Work shared with the land. Work shared with family. He looks across the hillside again. Other farmers can be seen resting beneath their own trees now. Some sit in small groups. Others lie back in the shade with their hats covering their faces. The olive harvest often brings these quiet midday pauses. The land grows warm in the early afternoon, and the workers rest before continuing. It has been done this way for many generations. A soft, rustling sound comes from the grass near the clearing. Eleni notices it first. She tilts her head and listens. From between the low plants near the fig tree, a small tortoise slowly appears. Its shell is round and patterned with dark lines. It moves slowly, one careful step at a time. Eleni watches with wide eyes. The tortoise seems completely unhurried. It walks across the clearing as if it has all the time in the world, which perhaps it does. Damon notices it too and smiles quietly. Tortoises often wander through the grove, he says softly. They enjoy the shade. The small creature pauses near one of the fallen fig leaves. It lowers its head and begins nibbling slowly at the edge. Eleni leans forward slightly to watch. The tortoise does not seem afraid. It simply continues its slow meal beneath the fig tree. Moments like this happen often in the grove. The land is shared by many small creatures, birds, lizards, insects, and sometimes quiet wandering tortoises like this one, all moving at their own gentle pace through the olive hills. After some time, Damon sits forward again. The rest has been good. His muscles feel ready to move again. He stands slowly and stretches his arms above his head. The branches of the fig tree sway softly overhead. "We should return to the grove," he says calmly. Nikos nods and rises as well. Thalia folds the cloth bundle neatly again. Eleni stands and gives the tortoise one last curious glance before picking up her small basket. The baskets of olives remain resting in the shade for now. Later in the afternoon, they will be carried down toward the village press. But there are still many olives waiting on the branches. The harvest day continues. They walk back along the narrow path toward the olive trees. The sunlight is bright now, but the breeze still moves gently through the grove. When they reach the tree they were harvesting earlier, the branches still hold many clusters of fruit. Olives hide among the leaves like small dark beads, waiting patiently. Damon places an empty basket beneath the branches. Nikos carries another toward the opposite side of the tree. Thalia begins picking from the lower branches. Eleni resumes her quiet search along the ground. The rhythm of the harvest begins again. Reach, twist, drop, reach, twist, drop. The olives fall softly into the baskets once more. Their quiet tapping sound fills the space beneath the tree. The cicadas continue their steady song. The wind rustles the leaves. Far away, a bird calls once and then again. The grove returns to its calm, working rhythm. Eleni moves slowly between the tree roots. Her small basket begins filling again. She pauses now and then to examine interesting shapes in the bark or stones hidden in the soil. The olive grove always offers something new to notice. A tiny beetle walking across a leaf, a feather caught between two branches, a patch of moss growing where a little shade and moisture remain. To Eleni, the grove feels almost like a quiet world of its own, a place where time moves more slowly. Nikos lifts a branch slightly higher to reach the olives hidden behind the leaves. The sunlight filters through the thin green blades above him. For a moment, the whole branch glows softly. He carefully gathers the fruit. Some olives fall into the basket. Others land lightly on the cloth sheet. Damon has spread beneath the tree to catch them. Later, they will be gathered and added to the baskets as well. Nothing is wasted in the olive harvest. Every fruit is collected carefully. Every basket slowly fills. Across the hillside, the afternoon continues to unfold. The sky remains clear and pale blue. A few clouds drift far above, moving slowly across the warm sky. The grove breathes quietly beneath them. Tree after tree, branch after branch, the ancient olive trees stand patiently as they always have, watching the farmers work beneath their leaves, watching another harvest day pass gently through the hills of Greece. And as the afternoon light settles softly across the grove, the peaceful work continues, olives falling, baskets filling, the calm rhythm of life beneath the silver leaves carrying on, just as it has for centuries. The afternoon light settles softly across the olive grove. It is a different light than the pale glow of early morning. Now it is warmer, deeper, and slightly golden. The sunlight slips between the branches and spreads across the dry earth in quiet patches. The olive leaves move gently whenever the breeze passes through. Each movement creates small flashes of silver. From a distance, the grove almost looks like a calm sea shimmering in slow waves. Damon continues working beneath the same old tree. His hands move with the same careful rhythm as before. Reach, twist, drop, reach, twist, drop. The olives fall softly into the basket below. The sound is steady and quiet, almost blending with the hum of cicadas and the whisper of leaves. Nearby, Thalia moves slowly along another branch. The tree has grown lighter now. Many of its olives have already been gathered. Small rays of sunlight pass through spaces that were once hidden by fruit and leaves. Still, plenty of olives remain. The harvest always takes patience. Eleni walks slowly around the tree, her small basket swinging lightly in her hands. The ground beneath the olive trees is uneven. Tiny stones rest among the roots. Small patches of dry grass grow in scattered clumps. She steps carefully so the olives she gathers do not fall from her basket. Every few steps, she bends down and picks up another olive resting on the earth. Sometimes the olives are warm from the sunlight. Sometimes they are cool where the shade has protected them. Each one feels smooth in her palm. She drops them into her basket one by one. The small tapping sound follows her as she moves. Tap, tap, tap. It is a gentle music that accompanies her quiet steps. A soft gust of wind moves across the hillside. The olive branches sway slightly. Thousands of narrow leaves rustle together. The sound spreads through the grove like a long whisper. Damon pauses for a moment and looks up. The wind carries a fresh scent now. It smells faintly of the sea. The coastline is many miles away, but on some days the breeze travels far across the hills. When it arrives, it brings the scent of salt and distant water. The farmers notice it immediately. It is a familiar visitor, a quiet reminder that beyond these groves lies the wide blue sea. Ships travel there. Fishermen cast their nets. Merchants carry amphorae filled with olive oil to distant lands. But here on the hillside, life moves more slowly. The sea may be far away, yet its breath sometimes reaches the olive trees. Nikos walks between two rows of trees carrying a basket that is nearly full. He moves carefully so the olives do not spill. The fruit shifts softly inside the woven reeds. Each step along the path sends a faint rustling through the basket. When he reaches the clearing beneath the fig tree, he sets the basket gently beside the others. The rows have grown larger. Many baskets now rest quietly in the shade. Their dark fruit forms small rounded hills inside the woven walls. A few olive leaves lie scattered across the top of the piles. The fig leaves above sway slowly in the breeze. Their shadows move across the baskets like soft waves of shade and sunlight. Nikos takes a moment to rest again. He sits on the same flat stone as before. The shade cools his shoulders. The breeze dries the light sweat on his forehead. From here, he watches the grove, the movement of Damon and Thalia beneath the tree, Eleni walking slowly between the roots, other farmers farther down the hillside continuing their harvest. The entire landscape feels calm, orderly, peaceful. After a short rest, Nikos stands again. He lifts two empty baskets and walks back into the grove. The path curves gently between the olive trees. Some trunks are tall and narrow. Others twist into wide shapes like ancient sculptures carved by wind and time. One tree nearby is especially old. Its trunk splits into two thick, spiraling columns before reaching the branches above. The bark is deeply cracked. Small patches of moss grow where shade and moisture gather. Nikos pauses beside it for a moment. He places his hand against the bark. It feels warm from the afternoon sun. This tree has likely stood here longer than anyone in the village can remember, perhaps even longer than the village itself. Olive trees often live many centuries. They witness seasons beyond counting, quiet witnesses to the lives of farmers who care for them. Nikos gives the trunk a gentle pat before continuing back toward Damon's tree. Back beneath the branches, the baskets are filling once again. Damon reaches upward toward a high cluster of olives. The branch bends slightly under the weight. He twists the fruit free carefully. Some olives fall into the basket. Others land softly on the cloth sheet below. Eleni notices them immediately. She runs over and gathers them before they roll away. Her basket grows heavier. She lifts it with both hands now as she walks. "Careful," Thalia says gently. Eleni nods and sets the basket beside the tree for a moment. She sits on a small stone to rest. The breeze brushes softly across her face. Above her, the leaves glow green against the bright sky. The cicadas continue their steady afternoon song. The sound feels almost like the heartbeat of the grove. The sun slowly begins its gentle descent across the sky. It is still high, but its movement has begun. The light softens slightly. The shadows beneath the trees grow longer again. The day is slowly shifting toward late afternoon, but there is still time to harvest many more olives. Damon lifts another basket and feels its weight. Nearly full again. He smiles quietly. The grove has been generous today. Basket after basket now waits beneath the fig tree, each one filled with fruit gathered patiently from the branches. Soon the baskets will begin their journey toward the village press. But for now, they remain here beneath the quiet trees, part of the peaceful landscape of the harvest. The wind moves through the grove again. Leaves whisper softly. The silver-green canopy shimmers under the warm light, and beneath the ancient olive branches, the slow rhythm continues. Hands reaching, olives falling, baskets filling, the calm work of another harvest afternoon in the hills of ancient Greece. A quiet tradition, carried forward beneath trees that have watched countless seasons pass. And the grove seems content to hold the moment gently in its shade and sunlight. The afternoon continues its quiet journey across the olive hills. The sun is no longer directly above the grove. It has begun its slow movement toward the western sky, and the light now feels softer and slightly golden. Longer shadows stretch across the dry earth between the trees. The air is warm, but the breeze still drifts gently across the hillside, keeping the grove comfortable and calm. Damon reaches up toward another branch. His fingers move slowly between the leaves. The olives here are smaller, but many have ripened to a deep purple color. He twists one free. It drops softly into the basket below. Then another, and another. The familiar rhythm continues. Reach, twist, drop. The quiet tapping sound fills the space beneath the tree once again. Nearby, Thalia moves to a lower branch. The leaves brush lightly against her hands as she gathers the olives. A few fall onto the cloth sheet Damon placed earlier. Eleni quickly notices them. She walks over and gathers the small pile carefully before they roll away. Her basket is nearly full again. She carries it slowly toward the fig tree clearing. The path feels warm beneath her sandals. Small pebbles shift quietly under her steps. Above her, the olive branches sway gently. When Eleni reaches the clearing, she pauses for a moment. The shade beneath the fig tree feels cool compared to the sunlight in the grove. The baskets of olives now form several neat rows across the ground. She sets her basket beside them and looks closely at the fruit inside. Some olives are dark and smooth. Others carry tiny specks of dust from the dry earth. A few still have small leaves attached. She brushes one leaf away and smiles. Each basket holds the work of many careful hands, the quiet harvest of an entire day, slowly collecting here in the shade. Nearby, the small tortoise from earlier still moves slowly along the edge of the clearing. It has traveled only a short distance since the morning. Now it rests beside a patch of low grass. Eleni kneels and watches it again. The tortoise stretches its neck slowly and begins nibbling another leaf. Its movements are calm and patient, much like the olive trees themselves. Nothing here seems to hurry. The grove teaches everything to move slowly. Nikos arrives soon after, carrying another basket from the grove. He places it gently beside the others. The fruit shifts softly as the basket touches the ground. He looks at the growing rows and nods. "Many baskets today," he says quietly. Eleni stands and counts again. Her finger points slowly to each one. 1, 2, 3. She continues until she reaches the newest basket. 16, she announces proudly. Nikos smiles. The grove is generous this season. He wipes his hands on his tunic and glances back toward the trees. Damon and Thalia are still working beneath the branches. From this distance, their movements look slow and steady, almost like part of the landscape itself. The wind shifts again across the hillside. This time, it carries the faint scent of wild herbs growing among the rocks. Thyme and oregano grow naturally in these hills. When the breeze moves through them, their scent spreads gently across the land. Nikos breathes in slowly. The smell reminds him of many harvest seasons before this one. The hills always carry these scents: olives, dry grass, wild herbs, warm earth. It is the smell of the countryside, the smell of the olive harvest. After a moment, Nikos lifts 2 empty baskets and begins walking back toward the grove. Eleni follows him, her small basket now empty again. The path curves between the trees like a narrow ribbon of dust. Sunlight filters through the leaves above them. Small patches of light dance across the ground as the branches sway. The cicadas continue their afternoon song. Their steady hum rises and falls like the quiet breathing of the grove. Back beneath Damon's tree, the work continues. Many branches are lighter now. Large clusters of olives have already been gathered, but small pockets of fruit still hide among the leaves. Damon moves carefully along the trunk, searching for them. He lifts a branch and reveals several olives hidden in the shade. He twists them free one by one. Each olive falls softly into the basket. The quiet tapping continues. Thalia gathers from another side of the tree. Her basket fills slowly. She pauses to brush a strand of hair from her forehead. The afternoon warmth has grown slightly stronger now, but the breeze continues to move gently through the grove. It keeps the air comfortable beneath the branches. Eleni returns and begins searching the ground again. The cloth sheet beneath the tree holds several olives that fell during harvesting. She collects them carefully. The olives roll slightly across the cloth whenever the wind touches it. Eleni laughs softly and catches one before it escapes. She places it safely into the basket. Nearby, a small lizard appears from between two stones. It moves quickly across the warm ground and stops beside the tree trunk. Its tiny chest rises and falls as it rests in the sunlight. Eleni watches it quietly. After a moment, the lizard disappears again beneath the roots. The grove is full of small hidden lives like this, creatures that appear and vanish silently among the trees. Damon lifts another basket and tests its weight. Almost full again. He nods quietly to himself. The day's work has been steady and good. Soon the light will begin to soften even more. Late afternoon will arrive, but there is still time for several more baskets before the sun dips too low. He sets the full basket aside and places a fresh one beneath the branches. The olives continue to fall gently inside. The rhythm never changes. Reach, twist, drop, reach, twist, drop. The grove remains peaceful. The wind moves softly. The cicadas hum steadily. And beneath the ancient olive trees, the calm harvest continues as the golden afternoon slowly moves toward evening. The afternoon light grows softer as the sun continues its slow journey across the sky. It no longer feels bright and sharp as it did earlier in the day. Instead, the sunlight now spreads across the olive grove in a calm, golden glow. The long branches of the trees cast gentle shadows across the earth. Those shadows stretch slowly between the rows of trunks like quiet patterns, drawn across the ground. Damon pauses for a moment beneath the olive tree. He lifts his eyes toward the horizon. The hills in the distance appear hazy now in the warm afternoon air. Beyond them, far beyond what the eye can see from here, lies the wide Mediterranean Sea. Though it cannot be seen from this grove, its presence is always quietly known. The breeze sometimes carries its scent, and merchants in the nearby villages speak often of ships traveling across its blue waters. Ships carrying goods from many lands, clay jars of olive oil like the kind made from these very olives. But here in the grove, the sea feels far away. Life moves more slowly on the hillside, more quietly, more gently. Damon returns his attention to the branches above him. He reaches up once again. The olives here grow in a thick cluster. Their dark skins shine softly where the sunlight touches them. One by one he twists them free. They fall into the basket below with their familiar soft tapping sound. Tap, tap, tap. The sound blends into the quiet music of the grove. Nearby, Thalia moves along the opposite side of the tree. Many of the lower branches are already bare, but the higher branches still hold small groups of fruit hidden among the leaves. She reaches upward carefully, stretching slightly to gather them. Some olives fall directly into the basket. Others drop onto the cloth sheet beneath the tree. Eleni notices them immediately. She moves quickly to collect them before they roll too far. Her small hands gather them one by one. Each olive feels smooth and cool against her skin. She drops them into her basket with care. The basket is growing heavier again. The breeze shifts softly across the hillside. The leaves whisper together. The sound travels slowly from tree to tree, like a quiet conversation between the branches. A few birds pass overhead, gliding slowly through the warm afternoon air. Their wings move gently as they cross above the grove. They disappear beyond the far rows of trees. The grove returns to its calm silence. Only the cicadas continue their steady afternoon hum. Nikos walks along the path between two long rows of olive trees. He carries another basket toward the clearing beneath the fig tree. The basket is nearly full. The olives shift softly inside as he walks. The path slopes gently downward. Small stones crunch beneath his sandals. When he reaches the fig tree, the shade welcomes him again. The wide leaves above create a cool canopy. The rows of baskets have grown even larger now. They stretch across the clearing like small, dark hills of fruit. Nikos sets the basket carefully beside the others. He pauses for a moment and looks at the growing collection. So many olives gathered in just one day. Each basket holds the quiet work of many patient hours. The grove has been kind this season. He sits briefly on the flat stone again. The breeze moves softly through the fig leaves. Their shadows ripple across the baskets below. From here, he can see Damon and Thalia continuing their work beneath the tree. Eleni moves slowly around them, her small basket swinging gently at her side. Everything looks peaceful from this distance, almost like a painting slowly moving in the warm afternoon light. After a few moments, Nikos stands again. The rest has been short, but it is enough. He gathers 2 empty baskets and begins walking back toward the grove. The path winds quietly between the trees. Some trunks lean slightly from many years of wind. Others stand tall and straight. All of them carry the same silver leaves that shimmer softly in the light. As Nikos walks, a grasshopper leaps suddenly from the path. It lands a short distance away among the dry grass. Its wings flash briefly in the sunlight before folding again. Small creatures move everywhere in the grove. Most remain hidden, but sometimes they appear suddenly like this, part of the quiet life that shares the hillside with the farmers. Back beneath the tree, Damon lifts another basket. It is full again. The olives inside glisten softly in the afternoon light. He carries it carefully toward the path where Nikos soon meets him. Together they walk toward the clearing. Eleni follows behind them, holding her smaller basket with both hands. The warm sunlight filters through the branches as they pass. The cicadas continue their gentle humming. The air smells faintly of olives and warm soil. When they reach the fig tree, Damon places the basket beside the others. The rows have grown wide now. Nearly the entire clearing is filled with them. Thalia arrives a moment later with another basket. She sets it down gently and wipes her hands on her cloth. For a moment, the family stands quietly beneath the fig tree, looking at the baskets, listening to the wind moving through the leaves. The day has been long, but the work has been calm and steady, and there is still a little daylight left. Soon they will carry these baskets down toward the village press, but not yet. There is still time to gather a few more olives before evening arrives. Damon lifts 2 empty baskets again. The woven reeds creak softly as he moves them. He nods to Nikos. Together they walk back toward the grove. The sunlight now glows warmly across the hills. The long shadows between the trees grow even longer. Late afternoon has begun its quiet arrival, and beneath the ancient olive branches, the peaceful rhythm of the harvest continues once more. Reach, twist, drop. The olives fall softly into the waiting baskets. The grove breathes gently in the golden light, and the calm work of another harvest. Day moves slowly toward evening in the hills of ancient Greece. The afternoon slowly begins to lean toward evening. The sunlight in the olive grove is softer now. It glows with a warm, golden color that rests gently across the hills. Long shadows stretch between the rows of trees, and the air feels calm and steady. The cicadas continue their quiet humming, though their rhythm has softened slightly as the sun begins its slow descent. Damon stands beneath the olive tree and reaches once more toward the branches above him. The tree is lighter now. Many olives have already been gathered during the long day, but small clusters still hide among the silver leaves. He lifts a branch carefully and twists another olive free. It falls into the basket with the same soft tapping sound. Tap, tap, tap. Nearby, Thalia works along one of the last heavy branches. Her hands move slowly, gathering the final olives within reach. The leaves brush lightly against her fingers. A few olives fall to the cloth sheet below. Eleni notices them immediately. She walks across the ground and collects them carefully. Her small basket is nearly full again. She lifts it with both hands now. It feels heavier than before, but she carries it proudly toward the path. The breeze moves gently through the grove. The olive leaves shimmer softly as they turn in the light. From time to time, a small bird passes overhead. Its wings cut quietly through the air as it glides toward the distant hills. The sky above is still bright, but the color has begun to soften slightly. Late afternoon often brings this peaceful change. The warmth of the day remains, but the sharp brightness begins to fade. The grove seems to grow quieter as the evening slowly approaches. Nikos arrives beneath the tree carrying 2 empty baskets. He places one beside Damon and the other near Thalia. Many of the branches have been cleared now. Only a few pockets of olives remain hidden deep among the leaves. Damon lifts another branch and smiles slightly. "There are always a few that hide until the end," he says quietly. Nikos nods. The trees like to keep some secrets. They both laugh softly. Even after many harvest seasons, small surprises like this still appear among the branches. They begin gathering the final olives carefully. The basket fills slowly. The tapping sound returns once more. Reach, twist, drop. The rhythm continues. Eleni walks slowly toward the fig tree clearing again. The sunlight follows her path through the grove. It slips between the branches and creates golden patches on the ground. When she reaches the clearing, she places her basket beside the others. The rows of baskets now look impressive. So many olives gathered in one long, peaceful day. She begins counting them again, just as she has done throughout the afternoon. 1, 2, 3, her quiet voice drifts through the clearing. The fig leaves above her sway gently. Their shadows dance across the baskets like soft waves. 19. She smiles proudly. 19 baskets. She sits on the flat stone for a moment and watches the grove. From here, she can see Damon and the others finishing the last branches of the tree. Their movements are slower now. The day's work has been long, but it has also been calm, the kind of work that leaves the body tired in a gentle way. The small tortoise from earlier still wanders along the edge of the clearing. It has moved only a few steps since Eleni last saw it. Now it rests beside a patch of dry grass warmed by the sun. Its slow movements seem to match the peaceful rhythm of the grove itself. Nothing here moves quickly. The trees grow slowly. The olives ripen slowly. Even the creatures who live here take their time. The grove seems to encourage patience. Soon, Damon and Nikos appear along the path. Each carries another basket filled with olives. Thalia follows behind them. They walk carefully toward the fig tree. The late afternoon light glows warmly across the clearing. When they reach the shade, Damon sets his basket beside the others. Nikos places his next to it. The rows stretch almost to the edge of the clearing now. 20 baskets. Damon wipes his hands slowly on the cloth at his belt. The olives have stained his fingers a deep purple color. It will take many washings for the color to fade, but this is always the mark of a good harvest day. He looks across the baskets and nods quietly. The grove has given well today. The wind moves gently through the fig leaves above them. Their wide shapes rustle softly in the evening air. Damon looks toward the path that leads down the hillside. Soon, the baskets will begin their slow journey toward the village press. Donkeys and small carts will carry them along the dusty road. At the press, the olives will be crushed beneath a large stone wheel. Their oil will flow slowly into waiting clay jars. But that work will begin tomorrow morning. For now, the baskets will remain here in the clearing, resting quietly beneath the fig tree. The sun continues to lower in the sky. The golden light becomes deeper and softer. The long shadows between the olive trees stretch farther across the hillside. Birds begin returning to their nests among the branches. Their calls are gentle and calm. The cicadas continue their steady humming, though their song now blends with the quieter sounds of evening. Damon sits for a moment on the stone beside Eleni. He looks across the grove. The trees stand peacefully under the glowing sky. Their silver leaves shimmer in the fading light. Another harvest day is slowly coming to an end, but the grove remains calm, patient, just as it has been for countless seasons before. And beneath the quiet branches of the ancient olive trees, the gentle rhythm of the countryside prepares to welcome the evening. The sun continues its slow descent toward the hills in the west. The light across the olive grove has changed again. It is softer now, warmer, almost honey-colored as it spreads across the rows of trees. The long shadows stretch farther across the ground, reaching between the trunks and across the narrow paths that wind through the grove. The breeze is still gentle. It carries the scent of olives, dry soil, and distant herbs from the hills. Damon sits quietly for a moment on the flat stone beside Eleni beneath the fig tree. His hands rest loosely on his knees. The quiet tiredness of the day settles into his arms and shoulders, but it is a peaceful tiredness, the kind that follows steady work. Nearby, Nikos stands looking at the baskets of olives arranged in the shade. There are many now, 20 baskets resting beneath the fig leaves, each one filled slowly throughout the day, each one gathered from the branches of the grove with patient hands. The olives inside them shine softly in the fading light. Their colors range from green to deep purple, almost black. Small olive leaves are scattered among them. A few tiny twigs lie across the fruit. The baskets smell faintly of fresh olives and woven reeds. It is a quiet and comforting scent. Thalia walks slowly around the edge of the clearing. She checks each basket carefully. Sometimes a loose olive rolls toward the edge. She places it gently back inside. Nothing should be wasted. Each olive is valuable. Each one will help fill the clay jars with oil in the days ahead. When she finishes checking the baskets, she joins Damon and Eleni beneath the fig tree. For a few moments, they simply sit together in the cool shade, listening. The grove has become quieter now. The cicadas are still humming, but their song is softer. The breeze continues to move through the branches of the olive trees. Their narrow leaves whisper gently together. It sounds almost like the quiet rustle of silk. Eleni watches the hillside beyond the grove. The golden sunlight rests across the land like a warm blanket. The distant hills glow softly in the evening light. She notices something moving slowly along the far path. At first, it is only a small shape in the distance. Then she realizes it is a donkey walking along the road toward the village. A farmer leads it by a rope. 2 empty baskets hang from a wooden frame across the donkey's back. Perhaps that farmer has already finished his harvest for the day. Perhaps he will return tomorrow morning to gather more olives. Eleni watches until the small figures disappear behind a hill. The countryside is full of quiet movements like this. Farmers returning home, shepherds guiding their goats, birds gliding slowly across the sky. everything moving gently as the day begins to close. Nikos lifts one of the baskets and feels its weight again. "Tomorrow we will bring them down to the press," he says softly. Damon nods. Yes, the stone wheel will begin turning again. The olive press in the village has stood there for many years. A large circular stone rests at the center of the building. A donkey walks slowly around it, turning the heavy wheel that crushes the olives beneath it. The fruit is pressed slowly. The oil flows gradually into clay basins. Then it is poured carefully into tall amphora jars. Those jars are sealed and stored in cool rooms beneath the village houses. Some will be used by the families themselves. Some will be sold in the market. And some may travel far across the sea on merchant ships. But for now, the olives still rest here in their baskets, waiting quietly beneath the fig tree. The light continues to soften. The sky begins to show deeper shades of gold and pale orange near the horizon. Above the grove, the blue sky slowly deepens. Birds begin to return to the olive trees. Small sparrows flutter from branch to branch. They chirp softly as they settle into their evening places. One bird lands on the edge of a basket. It hops along the rim curiously before flying away again. The grove is slowly preparing for night. Damon stands and stretches his back slowly. The long day of harvesting has come to its end. There will be more work tomorrow. But for now, the branches of the olive trees are lighter. The baskets beneath the fig tree are full, and the hillside feels calm and satisfied. Nikos lifts a cloth and gently covers the baskets. This will protect the olives during the cool night air. Thalia ties the corners of the cloth so the wind will not lift it. Eleni watches carefully. The cloth moves slightly in the breeze before settling quietly over the rows of fruit. Now the baskets look like small covered hills beneath the fig tree, resting peacefully until morning. The breeze moves once more through the grove. The olive leaves shimmer softly in the fading sunlight. The scent of evening begins to rise from the earth. Cooler now, more gentle. Damon looks once more across the grove. The rows of trees stretch across the hillside in soft, golden light. Their twisted trunks stand quietly beneath the sky. They have watched this same scene many times before. Harvest days beginning at dawn. Farmers working slowly beneath the branches. Baskets filling with fruit. And evening arriving gently across the land. The olive trees know this rhythm well. They have seen it for hundreds of seasons, and they will see it again long after this day has passed. The sky continues to darken slowly. The sun slips lower behind the distant hills. The grove grows quieter with each passing moment. Soon the family will walk back down the path toward the village. Their footsteps will follow the same narrow trail that winds between the olive trees. But for a little while longer, they remain here beneath the fig tree, enjoying the calm beauty of the evening, the soft wind, the glowing sky, and the quiet satisfaction of a long, peaceful harvest day in the olive grove. The evening light settles gently across the olive grove. The sun now rests very low above the distant hills, and its warm glow spreads softly over the land. The golden light touches the tops of the olive trees first, then slowly drifts down their twisting trunks to the quiet earth below. The shadows are long now. They stretch across the paths between the trees like calm rivers of shade. The air feels cooler than it did in the afternoon. The breeze carries a calm freshness as it moves through the grove. The narrow olive leaves shimmer quietly in the fading sunlight. Damon stands beneath the fig tree for a moment longer. He looks across the grove one final time before the family begins their walk home. The rows of trees stand peacefully on the hillside. Their branches move gently with the evening wind. It is the same view Damon has known since he was a boy, and before him his father knew it. and his father before him. The olive grove has been part of the family for many generations. The trees grow slowly, but they remain faithful to the land, year after year, season after season. Nikos finishes tying the cloth securely over the baskets. The olives will rest safely beneath it until morning. Tomorrow, the family will return with a donkey and small cart. Then, the baskets will travel down the winding path toward the village press. But tonight, the grove will watch over them, just as it always has. The fig leaves rustle softly above the covered baskets. The cloth rises slightly with the breeze, and then settles again. Eleni watches the cloth move and smiles. To her, the baskets look like sleeping hills beneath a blanket. She reaches out and gently touches the edge of one basket before stepping back. "Good night, Olives," she whispers quietly. Damon hears her and smiles. The sky above the grove has begun to change color. The pale blue of the afternoon slowly deepens. Soft shades of pink and orange stretch across the horizon where the sun sinks. Behind the hills, a few thin clouds drift slowly overhead. They glow briefly with warm color before fading into the quiet sky. Birds move through the trees as they prepare for the night. Small wings flutter between the branches. Soft, chirping sounds rise and fall among the leaves. Some birds settle in the olive trees. Others continue toward the nearby hills. The grove becomes quieter with every passing moment. Even the cicadas begin to slow their steady song. Their voices grow softer as the evening cools. Damon lifts the empty cloth bundle that once held their midday meal. He folds it carefully and ties it closed. Thalia adjusts the shawl around her shoulders as the evening breeze grows cooler. Nikos stretches his arms one last time after the long day of work. The muscles in his shoulders feel tired, but the tiredness feels calm and satisfying. A full day in the grove often brings this gentle weariness. It is the feeling of work done slowly and well. Eleni picks up her small basket, though it is empty now. She likes carrying it anyway. It makes her feel like an important helper during the harvest. Damon nods toward the path leading down the hillside. "It is time," he says softly. The family begins walking slowly along the narrow trail that winds through the olive grove. Their footsteps are quiet on the dry earth. The path curves gently between the rows of trees. The evening light glows warmly across the trunks and branches. As they walk, the olive leaves whisper softly above them. The grove seems almost alive in the fading light, not in a loud way, but in the quiet way of living things that breathe with the wind. Eleni walks beside Damon. She glances back once toward the fig tree clearing. The baskets remain there beneath the cloth, still and peaceful in the deepening shade. Tomorrow they will begin their journey toward the press, but tonight they rest beneath the branches, protected by the quiet grove. The path slowly leads the family farther down the hillside. The village now appears more clearly below them. Small stone houses cluster together along the dusty road. Thin lines of smoke rise from evening cooking fires. The scent of wood smoke drifts upward into the cooling air. Somewhere a dog barks once in the distance. Then everything becomes quiet again. A faint sound of voices drifts from the village square. People finishing their day. Families gathering for the evening meal. The calm life of the village continues just as it has for many years. The sky above grows deeper in color. The warm gold of the sunset fades slowly into soft shades of purple and blue. The first small stars begin to appear high above the hills, tiny points of light that shine quietly in the darkening sky. Eleni notices one star and points upward. "Look," she says softly. Damon follows her gaze. "Yes," he says gently. "The night is arriving." They walk slowly down the final stretch of the path. Behind them, the olive grove rests peacefully beneath the evening sky. The ancient trees stand quietly in the fading light. Their leaves whisper softly as the wind passes through, watching over the baskets beneath the fig tree, watching over the hillside they have known for centuries. And as the last light of the sun disappears behind the distant hills, the calm olive grove settles into the quiet embrace of night. The evening continues to settle gently across the hills. By the time Damon and his family reach the lower part of the path, the sun has already slipped behind the distant mountains. The warm colors of sunset slowly fade from the sky, leaving behind a soft, deep blue that spreads quietly across the horizon. The air feels cooler now. The warmth of the day has softened, and the breeze drifting across the hillside carries a calm evening freshness. Behind them, the olive grove stands peacefully in the growing twilight. The trees appear darker now, their twisting trunks forming quiet shapes against the fading sky. The silver leaves still move gently with the wind, but the grove itself has grown still, almost as if it too is preparing to rest. The narrow path leads Damon and his family slowly toward the village below. Small stones shift beneath their sandals with each careful step. The hillside grows darker as the light fades, but the path is familiar. They have walked it many times before, during harvest seasons, during quiet summer mornings, during cool winter evenings, when the trees rest without fruit. The land holds many memories beneath their feet. Eleni walks close beside Thalia now. The evening air has grown cooler, and the shadows around the olive trees feel deeper. But the sky above is peaceful. The first stars shine softly overhead. One by one, more stars appear across the quiet sky. Tiny points of silver light scattered gently across the darkness. Eleni looks upward as they walk. She tries to count the stars, but quickly loses track. There are simply too many. Damon glances up as well. The stars above the countryside always seem brighter than those seen in the busy towns, near the coast. Here, the hills remain quiet. No bright lanterns, no crowded streets, only the soft glow of distant house lamps and the wide open sky. As they walk farther down the path, the sounds of the village begin to grow clearer. Soft voices drift through the evening air. Somewhere a wooden door closes gently. A donkey brays once near the road. The smell of cooking fires floats upward from the houses below. Wood smoke, warm bread, and the faint scent of herbs used in evening meals. These quiet sounds and smells welcome the family back from the grove. Harvest days often end this way, with tired but peaceful walks home through the twilight. When they reach the edge of the village, small clay lamps glow beside a few doorways. Their flames flicker gently in the evening breeze. Inside the houses, warm firelight glows through open windows. Families gather for supper. Neighbors speak quietly outside their homes. The village moves at the same calm rhythm as the olive grove above. Nothing rushed, nothing loud, just the quiet unfolding of daily life. Damon pauses near the entrance to his home. He turns once more and looks up the hillside. The olive grove is now mostly hidden in the darkness. Only the faint shapes of the trees can be seen against the starlit sky. Somewhere up there, beneath the fig tree, the baskets of olives rest quietly beneath their cloth covering. Tomorrow morning, when the first light returns, the family will walk that path again. They will bring the donkey and cart. They will carry the baskets down to the press, and the slow turning of the stone wheel will begin. But tonight the olives sleep beneath the branches, and the grove watches over them. Eleni yawns softly. The long day of walking and gathering olives has made her sleepy. Thalia gently smooths her hair. It was a good harvest day, she says quietly. Damon nods. Yes, the grove was generous. Nikos stretches his arms again before stepping toward the doorway. The village around them grows quieter as more families finish their evening meals. Lanterns glow softly in windows. The stars above shine brighter now. Far across the hills, the wind continues to move through the olive trees. Their leaves whisper quietly in the night air, just as they have done for countless evenings before. Damon steps inside the house and lights a small clay lamp. The flame flickers gently, filling the room with a soft, golden glow. The simple stone walls feel warm and welcoming after the long day outdoors. Outside, the night deepens slowly over the hills of Greece. The olive grove rests peacefully under the stars. The baskets beneath the fig tree remain still and quiet, and the ancient trees continue their silent watch over the land. Another harvest day has passed. Another calm evening has arrived, and the slow rhythm of life in the olive grove continues, just as it has for generations. Night settles gently across the hills of ancient Greece. The last colors of sunset have faded from the sky, leaving behind a deep and peaceful blue. Above the quiet countryside, the stars shine clearly now. There are many of them, far more than Eleni could count earlier. They stretch across the sky like tiny lanterns hung above the sleeping land. A cool breeze drifts softly through the olive grove on the hillside. The trees stand quietly beneath the stars. Their twisting trunks form dark shapes against the sky, while their narrow leaves whisper gently whenever the wind passes through. The grove feels different at night, calmer, still, as if the land itself is breathing slowly in its sleep. Beneath the large fig tree, the baskets of olives remain resting quietly. The cloth that Nikos placed over them earlier rises slightly with each soft gust of wind, then settles again. The olives inside are still. They wait patiently beneath their woven walls. Tomorrow morning, when the first light touches the hills, the family will return. The donkey will carry the baskets down the winding path. The olives will travel to the village press, and the slow turning of the stone wheel will begin. But tonight there is nothing to hurry. The olives rest peacefully beneath the fig leaves, just as the grove rests beneath the stars. A small owl glides silently through the trees. Its wings make no sound as it passes between the branches. It lands on one of the older olive trunks and tilts its head slowly, watching the quiet grove. The owl has likely hunted here many nights before. The grove offers shelter for many small creatures. Field mice rustle softly in the grass. Crickets begin their gentle evening song. The night brings its own quiet life to the hillside, different from the busy rhythm of the day, but just as calm, just as steady. Far below the grove, the village has grown quiet as well. Most of the lamps inside the houses have been dimmed. Families rest after the long day. Inside Damon's small stone home, the clay lamp flickers softly beside the wall. Its golden light dances across the room. The warmth of the evening meal lingers in the air. Bread, olives from last season, and simple herbs gathered from the hillside. Eleni sleeps peacefully now beneath a woven blanket. The long day of walking through the grove and gathering olives has left her tired in the gentlest way. Her breathing is slow and steady. Outside the open window, the cool breeze carries the scent of the olive trees down from the hillside. It is a familiar scent, one that has filled the night air in this village for generations. Damon sits quietly for a moment before resting. He looks toward the open doorway, where the stars can be seen shining above the hills. He knows the grove well. He knows the quiet paths that wind between the trees, the old trunks that twist toward the sky, the soft whisper of the leaves when the wind moves through them. The grove has been part of his life since childhood, and long before him, it was part of his father's life, and his father's father before that. Olive trees grow slowly. They live long lives. Some of the trees in the grove have likely stood there for hundreds of years. They have watched countless harvest seasons pass beneath their branches, farmers gathering fruit, children playing among the roots, baskets filling slowly under the warm autumn sun. The trees remember these rhythms. Even if people change, the land continues, season after season, harvest after harvest. High above the hillside, the stars drift slowly across the sky. The night grows deeper. The breeze cools the earth. The olive grove rests quietly beneath the dark sky. And beneath the fig tree, the baskets of olives sleep peacefully beneath their cloth covering, waiting for the gentle light of morning, waiting for the next step in their journey. The stone press, the slow flowing oil, the clay jars filled and sealed, and the warm glow of lamps that will one day burn with the oil from these very olives. But that will happen tomorrow. Tonight, the grove is calm. The wind whispers softly through the silver leaves. The owl watches from its quiet branch, and the ancient olive trees stand peacefully beneath the stars, guarding the hillside, just as they have done for centuries. And as the quiet night continues across the hills of Greece, the gentle rhythm of the olive grove carries on, slow, steady, and peaceful, the kind of rhythm that has always belonged to the land, and always